Watch me break glove number 2 here. Yep, oops. Gonna start with my sweet almond oil, 3.84 ounces of that. Then I'm gonna move on to the coconut oil, which is 31.2 ounces. It's a big bucket. That's how I like to buy my oil. And then we rinse those buckets out, and the animals get a fresh water bucket every time I use up my giant amount of coconut oil. I'm going to be using the melt the oils with the hot lye method. That's why I'm cutting up the shea butter into smaller pieces so it melts somewhat easier and blends up nicely for me. I add 3.36 ounces of shea butter, straight from Ghana. It is beautiful. It has a nice rich smell to it. You can actually smell that in the soap a little bit since I don't add any fragrance to this soap. I just let the natural goodness show through. My scale's being goofy right now. So that is my lye water. I'm pouring it extremely slowly to make sure that I do not splash that. I don't want to have to clean my whole kitchen because I splashed lye water on the floor. I stir it pretty well, but there always could be a little bit at the bottom. So tapping that out super slow and putting that right in the sink. So I mashed it down a little bit with the stick blender and then pop the immersion blender in there and start blending. So what you didn't see was the castor oil, the jojoba oil, and the soybean oil that I added. There will be a link to the recipe at the end. I'm happy to share with you how I do this, should you want to try it at home. 12 ounces of water are mixed with 7.56 ounces of sodium hydroxide, which is lye, which is completely saponified. There is no lye left in the soap. I do pH test all of these soaps before I package them, but within a few days the lye will be eaten up by the oil, but still let it cure about 4 weeks or so to get a nice hard bar of soap that will last you a very long time if you let it dry out each time. Still mixing and mixing and mixing. And now, at the end, after I've mixed the oil and the lye, I like to add my goat's milk. Some people add it at the beginning. Some people use ice cubes full of goat's milk. I've just found it best to mix it in when the oils and lye have already been mixed. I'm separating the soap mixture into 2 different containers because I add activated charcoal to one, and I have in the past used zinc oxide to create a white look. It just looks very pretty. After I'm going to pour it over the turmeric base that I've already made. It's been drying for a couple days. It just looks pretty, the white and black swirled, but the zinc oxide really isn't adding anything to this recipe that I want it to. So I'm just going to use some white colorant instead. Super safe, cosmetic grade mica from an absolutely amazing company called Mad Micas. And I've realized that the soap has reached trace and does not want to be mixed. So instead of doing a pretty swirl, just going to dump it all in the same container as the black activated charcoal, and maybe there'll be some chunkier swirls. We do not want to waste soap, so I make sure I scrape out absolutely everything and glob it into the, yep, look how thick that is. It's okay, it doesn't matter. It just isn't as pretty. This is the consistency I would be going for if I was going to use a piping bag, though. It would be fantastic to pipe on some flowers, The unicorn mane that I do on my unicorn soap. Just not a great consistency for pretty swirls, but that's okay. You have to spray some just rubbing alcohol in between the layers. I don't know why I didn't show you what color the bottom was. It's a gorgeous orangey yellow from the turmeric. I use no colorant in the bottom. People have asked. There is no benefit of the soap that charcoal and turmeric together doesn't add any great benefit. Just separately, they're amazing. Activated charcoal is deep cleaning and gently exfoliating. Turmeric is antifungal, antimicrobial, antibacterial naturally. And so the two together just make a great facial bar and great skin bar for coming into summer in the warmer months. And there it is, pretty and swirled.